Speaking test instructions. The speaking test is 20 minutes. There are 8 tasks in the speaking test. Please try your best to answer all the questions.
Start speaking now. Time is up. 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 Start speaking now. Time is up.
Amanda, I admire your passion for photography and can understand the appeal of turning your creative talent into a career. Nevertheless, transitioning from stable government employment to freelance work represents a significant risk that requires careful planning and realistic expectations. First and foremost, consider building your photography business gradually while maintaining your current job, at least initially. This approach allows you to test the market demand for your services, develop a client base, and understand the business aspects of freelancing without immediately sacrificing your financial security. Furthermore, freelance photography involves much more than just taking beautiful pictures. You'll need skills in marketing, client relations, contract negotiation, and financial management that might be quite different from your current work experience. Additionally, irregular income is indeed a major challenge for freelancers, especially during economic downturns or seasonal fluctuations when clients reduce spending on photography services. Moreover, the loss of benefits like health insurance, retirement contributions, and paid vacation time represents a substantial hidden cost that many people underestimate when considering freelance work. However, if you're truly committed to this career change, I'd recommend creating a comprehensive business plan with realistic income projections and building an emergency fund covering at least 12 months of expenses before making the transition. Consequently, you could also explore hybrid approaches like reducing your government hours to part-time while developing your photography business, providing both income stability and creative fulfillment. Additionally, consider specializing in profitable photography niches like corporate events, real estate, or portrait sessions that provide more predictable income than purely artistic work. Remember that pursuing your passion is admirable, but ensuring your financial well-being allows you to continue practicing photography long-term, rather than being forced to abandon it due to economic pressures. 3 years ago, I experienced a major setback when I was unexpectedly laid off from a marketing position I had held for 5 years due to company downsizing. This was particularly devastating because I had just purchased my first home and had been counting on my stable income to manage the mortgage payments. Furthermore, the job market in my field was extremely competitive at the time, and I had grown comfortable in my role without actively networking or updating my skills. The initial shock and financial anxiety were overwhelming, especially since I had always prided myself on job security and careful planning. Initially, I fell into a period of self-doubt and depression, questioning my professional value and worrying constantly about my financial future. However, after a few weeks of unproductive wallowing, I decided to approach this setback as an opportunity for growth and career redirection. First, I took advantage of unemployment benefits and severance pay to enroll in digital marketing certification courses that I had always wanted to pursue but never had time for while working full-time. Additionally, I began networking more actively, reaching out to former colleagues and attending industry events to rebuild professional connections. Moreover, I used this period to reassess my career goals and realized that I wanted to work for smaller, more innovative companies rather than large corporations. Consequently, after 4 months of intensive job searching and skill development, I found a position with a growing startup that offered more responsibility and creative freedom than my previous role. This experience taught me valuable lessons about resilience and the importance of continuously developing professional skills. Most importantly, I learned that setbacks often redirect us toward better opportunities that we might never have pursued otherwise. The forced career break ultimately led to greater job satisfaction and professional growth than I had experienced in years. This vibrant illustration depicts a serene park scene where a couple is enjoying a peaceful moment together on a wooden bench beneath the shade of large, mature trees. The man, wearing a blue jacket, is holding a coffee cup while smiling warmly, whereas the woman, dressed in a coral-colored cardigan, is reading a book with evident contentment. The park setting showcases multiple recreational activities happening simultaneously throughout the green space. In the background, several cyclists can be observed riding along the designated pathways, while dog walkers are exercising their pets on the expansive lawn. Additionally, near a small pond or lake, a young child in a red hoodie is enthusiastically feeding ducks, which creates a charming focal point that highlights the family-friendly nature of this public space. The scene is enhanced by well-maintained infrastructure, including decorative lampposts that line the walking paths and create an inviting atmosphere for evening strolls. Furthermore, the lush canopy of trees provides natural shade and creates a peaceful environment that encourages relaxation and outdoor leisure activities. What makes this image particularly appealing is how it captures the essence of urban park life, where people of different ages and interests can coexist harmoniously while pursuing their preferred recreational activities, whether that involves quiet contemplation, physical exercise, or connecting with nature through simple pleasures like bird watching or reading in the fresh air. Initially, the couple will continue enjoying their peaceful reading session while sipping coffee, whereas the young boy feeding ducks will likely run out of breadcrumbs and return to his family. Subsequently, the woman will probably share an interesting passage from her book with her partner, while simultaneously, more park visitors might arrive to enjoy the beautiful afternoon weather. Meanwhile, the cyclists in the background will presumably complete their loop around the park paths, and consequently, might stop for a rest near the pond area. Furthermore, the playful dog chasing the ball will undoubtedly retrieve it and bring it back to its owner for another throw. Despite the tranquil atmosphere, the ducks will eventually swim away once they realize no more food is available. Nevertheless, they'll remain nearby hoping for additional treats from other visitors. In addition, as the afternoon progresses, the couple might decide to take a romantic stroll along the tree-lined pathways or perhaps join the boy in feeding the remaining ducks. In conclusion, this idyllic park scene will continue providing a perfect escape from urban life, thereby allowing people to reconnect with nature and each other in this serene outdoor sanctuary. Kevin, I understand your preference for the co-sleeping arrangement since it provides immediate relief from Emma's bedtime struggles, but I believe the gradual sleep training method is the most beneficial approach for our entire family's long-term well-being. First and foremost, gradual sleep training teaches Emma essential self-soothing skills that will serve her throughout childhood, rather than creating dependency on our physical presence for sleep. Furthermore, this method respects Emma's emotional needs while still working toward the goal of independent sleep, which is crucial for her development and our family's rest quality. Additionally, the gentle approach minimizes the trauma and stress that more abrupt methods can cause, maintaining trust and security in our relationship with Emma while still addressing the sleep issues. Moreover, while the progress may be slower than strict methods, the gradual approach creates lasting results because Emma learns to self-regulate rather than simply complying due to exhaustion or distress. Although co-sleeping might seem like the path of least resistance, it often creates more problems long-term, including difficulty transitioning Emma to her own bed later, potential safety concerns, and continued sleep disruption for all of us. Consequently, the gradual method represents a balanced compromise that addresses Emma's need for comfort while working toward healthy sleep independence. Despite requiring more patience initially, this approach ultimately leads to better sleep for everyone and teaches Emma valuable life skills about managing difficulties with support rather than avoidance. Additionally, research consistently shows that children who learn independent sleep skills through gentle methods have better emotional regulation and confidence in other areas of development. Don't you think investing a little more time now for lasting results is better than quick fixes that might create bigger problems later? Kevin, while I appreciate your concern about maintaining Emma's emotional comfort through the gradual method, I believe implementing a strict sleep schedule is actually the most effective and kindest approach for our family situation right now. First and foremost, Emma's current sleep disruption is affecting her daytime behavior, attention span, and emotional regulation, which indicates that her sleep needs aren't being met despite our gentle intentions. Furthermore, the prolonged bedtime struggles we've been experiencing for months are creating stress and frustration for all of us, including Emma, who clearly needs more structure and consistency than our current approach provides. Additionally, strict sleep training typically produces faster results, which means less overall crying and distress compared to the extended periods of confusion and testing that gradual methods often involve. Moreover, children actually thrive on predictable routines and clear boundaries, and Emma's resistance to bedtime suggests she needs firmer guidance rather than more flexibility. Although the co-sleeping option might seem appealing for immediate peace, it would essentially teach Emma that persistent resistance leads to getting her way, potentially creating behavioral challenges beyond just sleep issues. Consequently, implementing a consistent, structured approach sends clear messages about expectations while still providing comfort within appropriate boundaries. Despite the initial adjustment period involving some crying, children typically adapt to new routines within a few days when parents remain consistent and confident. Additionally, once Emma learns to sleep independently, she'll actually feel more secure and rested, improving her overall happiness and development. Consider that our current approach has been unsuccessful for months, and continuing the same strategy is likely to produce the same frustrating results. Don't you think Emma deserves the security of knowing exactly what to expect at bedtime? Emma, I need to have a serious conversation with you about your relationship with Tyler. And I hope you'll listen with an open mind. First and foremost, I want you to know that this comes from a place of love and concern for your well-being, not from a desire to control your life or make you unhappy. Nevertheless, I've observed some behaviors and patterns in this relationship that genuinely worry me as your parent. Furthermore, the age difference between you two represents different life stages and maturity levels that create an inherent power imbalance, regardless of how mature you feel or how much you care about each other. Additionally, I've noticed that Tyler seems to discourage your friendships with peers your own age and has been pressuring you to make decisions about your future that you're not ready for at 16. Moreover, healthy relationships should enhance your confidence and independence. But I've observed that you've become more secretive, anxious, and isolated since this relationship began. Although I understand that you believe Tyler truly cares about you, some of his behaviors, like getting angry when you spend time with family or friends, and pushing for physical intimacy you're not comfortable with, are concerning warning signs that I cannot ignore. Consequently, I'm asking you to seriously consider whether this relationship is truly in your best interest, or whether Tyler's influence is limiting your opportunities and personal growth during this important time in your life. Despite how difficult this conversation is, I need you to understand that my concerns are based on experience and perspective that you don't yet have. I'm not asking you to make a decision right now. But would you be willing to talk to a counselor with me about healthy relationship dynamics and what you should expect from someone who truly respects and values you? Jennifer, I know we've discussed Emma's relationship with Tyler before, and I understand your instinct to trust our daughter's judgment and respect her growing independence. Nevertheless, I believe we have a parental responsibility to intervene when we see clear warning signs of an unhealthy relationship that could harm Emma's well-being and future. First and foremost, the age difference and power dynamic between a 16-year-old and someone Tyler's age creates an inherently problematic situation, regardless of Emma's maturity level or Tyler's intentions. Furthermore, I've observed concerning behavioral changes in Emma: increased secrecy, social isolation from her friends, and anxiety when she receives calls or texts from Tyler. Additionally, Emma has mentioned that Tyler discourages her college plans and suggests she should focus on their relationship instead, which indicates he's trying to limit her opportunities and independence. Moreover, as parents, we have both the legal responsibility and moral obligation to protect Emma from potentially harmful situations, even when she doesn't recognize the danger herself. Although respecting Emma's autonomy is important, teenagers often lack the experience to recognize manipulative or controlling behavior, especially when it's presented as love and special attention. Consequently, staying silent and hoping for the best could allow a potentially damaging situation to escalate, while Emma becomes more emotionally invested and isolated. Despite our desire to maintain trust with Emma, our primary job is protecting her safety and future, even if that temporarily strains our relationship with her. Consider that many adults who experienced similar relationships as teenagers later recognize the harm they caused and wish their parents had intervened more decisively. I'm not suggesting we forbid the relationship outright, but we need to take active steps like family counseling, setting clear boundaries, and having honest conversations about healthy relationships. Will you work with me to address this situation before it potentially becomes more serious? I believe wealthy countries do have a moral obligation to provide financial aid to developing nations, though this assistance should be structured thoughtfully to promote genuine development rather than dependency. First and foremost, the extreme global inequality we see today is partly the result of historical exploitation, colonialism, and trade policies that benefited wealthy nations at the expense of developing countries. Furthermore, many current global challenges, including climate change, pandemic diseases, and refugee crises, require international cooperation and affect all nations regardless of borders, making development aid a matter of global stability and mutual interest. Additionally, from an ethical standpoint, those with abundant resources have a moral responsibility to help alleviate extreme poverty and suffering when they have the means to do so without significant sacrifice to their own citizens' well-being. Moreover, well-designed aid programs can create economic opportunities that benefit both donor and recipient countries through increased trade, reduced migration pressures, and enhanced global stability. However, the effectiveness of aid depends heavily on how it's structured and implemented. Consequently, successful development assistance should focus on building infrastructure, education systems, and institutional capacity rather than simply providing short-term relief that creates dependency. Additionally, aid programs should involve recipient countries in planning and implementation to ensure cultural appropriateness and local ownership of development initiatives. Nevertheless, I recognize legitimate concerns about aid effectiveness, including corruption, misallocation of resources, and the creation of dependency relationships that may undermine local governance and initiative. Therefore, Wealthy nations should provide aid through transparent, accountable mechanisms that emphasize capacity building, education, and sustainable development rather than perpetual assistance. The goal should be empowering developing nations to achieve self-sufficiency and prosperity rather than maintaining relationships of dependency. Ultimately, global prosperity and stability benefit everyone, making development aid not just a moral imperative but a practical investment in shared security and economic growth. David, you absolutely won't believe what I'm looking at right now at this incredible coffee shop downtown. Sarah and I are sitting here completely mesmerized by the most extraordinary coffee machine I've ever encountered in my entire life. Picture this. They've created a fully functional coffee maker that's designed as a massive, intricately detailed dragon sculpture. The entire machine is crafted from what appears to be burnished bronze metal, with every single scale, wing, and spike meticulously carved to perfection. What makes this truly spectacular is how the dragon's serpentine body coils around the traditional coffee brewing components, with the glass carafe positioned right in the center of its coiled form. Furthermore, the dragon's head is positioned at the top, and when the machine operates, steam actually emerges from its mouth, making it look like the dragon is breathing while brewing the coffee. Not only is the craftsmanship absolutely phenomenal, but the attention to detail is remarkable. There are ornate Celtic style patterns etched throughout the metallic surfaces. The whole contraption sits majestically on this rustic wooden table, perfectly complementing the coffee shop's industrial brick walls and warm Edison bulb lighting. Given your passion for unique gadgets and fantasy collectibles, I immediately thought you'd go absolutely crazy for this masterpiece. The coffee it produces is apparently as exceptional as its appearance. And honestly, watching it brew is like witnessing a piece of functional art in action.